What if they made it illegal to rent your home?
Oh no.
Stick around, we'll talk about that. I'm Eric Purius with Bell Mortgage. You're back with RealTalkTwinCities.com, covering all things real estate every Sunday at 6 o'clock. For anything real estate related, whether it's buying or selling, ask the expert if you have questions. We are here for you. You can reach out to us on RealTalkTwinCities.com. You can get a hold of Cheryl at
612-735-0553. That's 612-735-0553. And Donna and I would be happy to help you buy or sell your next home. And remember to get in touch with Eric if you're thinking about refinancing.
right, or buying, 952-905-5757 or erictheloanguy.com. We're also going to talk about the legalization of marijuana, which has numerous real estate implications, as I mentioned previously, beyond perhaps some of the humorous, obvious things, but and we're also going to have a little bit more from Donna on the market, and most importantly, the president of Inspect a Home, Jeff Blixt, is here with us. Hi, Jeff.
Hi, how are you doing today?
Good, good. Thanks for coming by. We're dying to get some questions answered. I'm sure some of you out there may also have some questions for a home inspector. So what is all this about? You know, we just talked about accessory dwellings and adding value to your home by building, completing a attic or a basement or above the garage and being able to rent that out or have a relative live there. And yet now there's talk of some potential of it becoming illegal to rent your home. I'm confused.
You look
Which
confused.
is par for the course.
Well,
but-
back in 2006, Winona implemented the nation's first comprehensive rental cap ordinance because they were having issues with being a college town, excessive on-street parking, antisocial behavior that maybe have something to do with the marijuana,
Could be.
and and deteriorating home, that was a hard word to say,
Deteriorating GPAs, yeah.
home conditions. So they passed this ordinance limiting the rental pool to 30%, and other communities are following suit and wanting to do that. So St. Paul, Rochester, and Mankato have joined the League of Minnesota Cities, urging the state's courts to uphold the Winona law. And so there are implications for people that do own homes. I believe one of the people in the suit in Winona is a serviceman that was wanting to was going to be deployed and wanted to rent out his property and was unable to do so because of this ordinance. So lots of things that this brings up right now.
Right, and the biggest issue is it's 30% of the homes per block
Okay.
Right.
that they can rent out their homes. And so the problem is that prior to this law being passed, all of the homeowners that were renting out are grandfathered in.
Right.
So they are wise to keep those properties, keep renters in the homes, never let them out, and then their neighbors can't rent out because of the cap.
A block by block cap on
Block
rentals
by
to
block.
30%?
Right,
Correct.
right. And
Wow.
so then you take a look at the story that we just discussed.
This is crazy talk.
Right, and you're thinking about all of the homeowners that want to plan to have somebody live with
Right.
them in a separate residence on the property, renting that out. And what happens if they put that addition on and suddenly there's a moratorium in their neighborhood?
How does that all fit?
Yeah.
It doesn't. I mean, clearly there's going to have to be something. I mean, I know this is real, you're telling me, but I'm having trouble believing it. I mean, it sounds like
Well,
they're
and
turning
it-
a city into one big condo where you have rental restrictions.
Yeah,
Yet it's a
and
city block.
if you take a look at the Marcy Homes neighborhood, that's right around the U of M, that neighborhood is about 75% student housing.
Sure.
So the rentals are super high in that area, and most of them are duplexes, multifamily homes, but there's also a lot of single-family homes that are rented out. And then you take a look at the Mac Groveland area, there has been a lot of discussion with the city council there as well, where they have tried to put moratoriums on to limit the number of rentals, and basically it's a neighbor problem. It's established homeowners who don't want to have a lot of students partying right in their neighborhood.
I think another thing to consider is that the government's picking and choosing who gets to exercise their property rights, and that becomes kind of a sticky wicket.
Absolutely. Also, how are you going to verify this? Are you going to, let's say you're buying an investment property in South Minneapolis. Hey, a nice little single family. It's, a few thousand. We could probably rent it out for $1,700. And how do we, how many rentals are on the block? Well, we don't know. Let's ask the appraiser. So then, then it's, who is going to verify that? And, lenders are going to have to comply to this statute or law, and compliance requires verification.
Exactly, and the challenging part is, in both Minneapolis and St. Paul, you have to go through an approval process with the city in order to be able to rent out your
Right,
home. In Minneapolis, you have to have a license.
Right.
So you can go through as a homeowner and do that process, but now, when you're thinking about buying a property, the city doesn't want to waste their time
Right.
dealing with a whole bunch of potential buyers. Can you
Right.
imagine the
Right.
amount of time that's gonna take the city?
I'm just not sure that they've thought through all of the contingencies.
I don't think so.
There's just so many things that this opens up right now, and who's gonna oversee it all?
Oh,
Right.
I can't see it. I hope it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
maybe it would, or maybe because of the legalization of marijuana, maybe somehow that's led to some of this this sort of twisted thinking
Well,
by city planners.
and luckily, we don't have that problem here yet, but it could be coming. You look at, there's 23 states plus the District of Columbia that have passed laws permitting prescribed medical use of marijuana. 11 states have laws permitting limited possession and use, and 3 states permitting recreational use. And 12% of Americans say that marijuana should be legal. Well, that was in 1969.
Okay.
Today, it's 52%, so there's a whole lot more people today. Sorry about that.
Way before you were born.
Oh my God. I'm not even going to talk about how old I was then. But what we are going to be concerned with is the impact on the housing and our buyers.
Right.
Looking at these. So hopefully Jeff can clue us in on some of the things we might need to look for.
What is it? Obviously, I've made a few jokes about it, but what, I don't know, because there's the meth thing, which is obvious, perhaps
Right.
it's toxic,
Right.
but
Exactly.
pot, I don't
Okay,
know.
well, imagine if you're living in a condo or an apartment
Sure.
where cigarette smoking is allowed, and now your neighbor is smoking marijuana. Well, that smell is going to be coming down the hall, it's going to be coming into
Okay.
your unit. It's going to be permeating into the walls, just like cigarette smoke does.
Sure.
And one of the biggest issues is people growing their own marijuana in their homes, because you think about
is legal or could be legal, right? Or
Well,
it is legal, I don't know.
it shouldn't be illegal. Most of the states don't allow that.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean it doesn't happen, and it
Right.
happens more frequently if marijuana is legal,
Right,
right?
right.
And so with the lights and the humidity, mold can infiltrate the homes.
So-
So that will be the biggest issue, the smell. and
So
mold.
conceivably, along with the meth disclosure on purchase agreements, there may be a marijuana disclosure, is that what you're saying?
That's what I would expect. I mean, it's already difficult enough to try to sell a home that's been owned by a cigarette smoker.
Right.
Can't imagine what we would be going through selling a home that was owned by a pot smoker.
Wow.
Every time one of these things comes up, we get a longer disclosure.
Right.
Wow. And so Jeff, welcome again. And so how about this pot thing? Have you ever run into that in any of your inspections where, I don't know, grow lights or moisture damage or anything like that?
I haven't really seen the damage to it unless it was something that was already existing and had been there for a long period of time. We
Okay.
have had a couple of situations where we've opened an attic hatch and found several hundred marijuana plants hanging
Oh.
up and drying.
Oh my gosh.
So,
Now we know where to look.
and it's not uncommon for us to see bongs or paraphernalia. Homeowners, for whatever reason, you think if you're going to have an inspection on your home and you knew that the inspector was coming and you knew they were
Yeah.
going to be looking around, you'd hide some of that stuff, but you'd be amazed some of the personal belongings we see that people leave out. I guess I wouldn't think you'd want to share that with the general public, but
Yeah,
that
you
does
wouldn't
happen.
think.
You never know. So in your 30 years of inspecting homes, and you also mentioned that you'd inspected somewhere over 100,000 of them, is that right?
Yeah, I haven't, personally, my company has
Your
done over
company has.
100,000.
How many inspectors do you have?
We currently have 10 on staff besides myself.
Okay.
And what areas are you working?
We go just about anywhere. We'll go down as far as the Iowa border. We've done stuff up on Rainy Lake. We did a 50-acre island for a fellow out of Plano, Texas, who was buying actually it was a
Wow.
craft corporate resort, and he was buying it for his family to fly in. And
So did they fly you down there?
no, actually, I sent one of my inspectors up there, and we had to take a boat out to the island. It was kind of unique.
Cool.
So not very often, but I mean, the brunt of our business is here in the metropolitan area, but we do branch out. I have my trainer actually comes up out of Mankato on a regular basis.
And you also do western Wisconsin?
Western Wisconsin as well.
Right, well, I'm gonna remember that because I have a listing in Rainy Lake. So
Okay.
I know who to call.
And people can get a hold of you at inspectahome.com.
Inspecthomes.com or just calling 651-641-0641. 651-641-0641. Pretty easy number to remember.
Yeah,
All
it
right.
is.
Thanks, Jeff. Well, Jeff, you're going to have the whole next segment coming up. We're going to get into radon. I know that's a big issue, isn't it, recently?
You know, our radon testing has just gotten crazy this year. I think when I looked last, it was up 275%. So definitely something that is impacting the market.
Wow,
Right.
It's an important issue.
And you told me that you like to think of yourself as hunting elephants, not mice, right?
Yes, I use that phrase occasionally. We're looking for the big items.
All right.
You know,
Gotcha.
expectations are something we should cover.
Well, we'll finish that up when we come back on AM 1280, The Patriot.